It comes down to this, but think about it. The Season 3 World Championship is going to be the biggest League of Legends tournament ever. And even though COG and TSM have been together since the start, it's like, yeah, going back, maybe you could say that TSM or COG's World Championship games last year were more important. But as far as their future and as far as what they have, this is the most important game for them. There's nothing that matches this.
It's crazy how much just evolved the League of Legends scene has become, because last year to the year before, you'd been like, who's going to finals with TeamSoloMid, Dignitas, Curse, and
yeah,
the
who's
LCLG?
Gonna be the third team?
Yeah, who's
like,
going to be
TSM and COG.
So with these, we have a few more, and we'll see them coming out. Cloud9's been doing well. They have a big weekend, but we are into Game 2 here of our onto the semis. Yeah. Ezreal and Twisted Fate banned out with Karthus and Nocturne so far.
And I think that Nocturne ban is the most interesting one of all, because Big Fat LP was 5 for 5 picking Nocturne against TSM, and now TSM has decided to just ban it away from TSM. I know COG picked it with their second, like their first set of picks after TSM used their first pick in the first game, but they're really just guarding against, I think, TSM taking in the same slot.
Yeah. Well, Elise is big for both of these guys, because it was Elise Sejuani towards week 9 for Big Fat. He pulled it out. He had it in week 1 as well. Didn't work out too well for them. It's not one of his strongest junglers, but they do share that Elise. The pick comes out, or the ban comes out as Shen. So the jungler is going to be contested here as well. Yeah,
Shen was banned in the last game, but I mean, Zac is available right now.
Yep.
And Nien has played some pretty powerful top lane Zac. He played it almost all Super Week, even though they didn't have the most success. I'd say his Zac was incredibly strong, and it's hard to argue with Zac's power internationally right now, how much he has succeeded as a champion in a lot of these competitive games. And it's curious, too, from TSM, because they banned out Twisted Fate this game, even though COG decided not to play it at all in the first one. It could have something to do with the side swap that has taken place, where it's now blue side versus red side. But I don't really see it. COG's taking their time with this one. I'd expect Zac.
It would be the safe pick.
Or Ari.
Pretty much, wow.
Yep.
That's Link's top pick lately. He has brought that out in so many weeks. It's one of his just top play champions.
Yeah, the Ari is also a very potent choice. That was the last ban, actually, that COG used in the first game of this set. And it's something that everyone has been picking up. It's across the board.
Ari came back with the aggression of all the assassins.
And the Deathfire Grasp. People finally recognizing, it's like, oh yeah, by the way,
just do this and blow someone up.
All of my guaranteed damage with my W and R. And I, specifically Xpeke, was totally dominant with it at Gamescom less than a week ago. However, that did, of course, leave TSM up for their sweet spot stuff, Zac and Elise. They traded power picks right there. And COG, will see if that Ari choice comes back to haunt him.
The Rumble not even banned out, but not taken as well this time, to note that. Like you said, Zac and Elise being picked up means TSM could still have good control over those objectives, get themselves around. Lane swap, probably not going to see it again.
No, most likely not. You know, COG really wanted to go for something, just like, let's do Zyra Ashe again. Come on. No, I don't think they're going to do it. I feel like we're going to go almost back to middle season COG, where they're still kind of finding themselves, where we see Nien on something with a lot of damage, Link on Ari already, which is kind of what's saying this, because he can be on his own assassin instead of being tied to the team, where then individuals can make plays instead of completely relying on the whole team working at once, which can work for COG but did not in that last game.
They're going back, obviously, roots. Hopefully, if they pick it, an AD carry that fits in the role of Doublelift. Yeah. Now, to make my point, the fact that AD carries are trying to switch what they do now. Cop has, I believe, been the most successful in changing his style of play as an AD carry throughout the summer split.
Absolutely. And Doublelift is someone who I don't think he's going to change his style.
No.
He doesn't need to.
And even now it's
so dominant with
it. Just stick it.
And that Ashe pick, he had a good game on Ashe, but he didn't have a double lift game on Ashe. And I think they'll have the opportunity to do something like that in this game. Big Fat LP, of course, just going for his utility jungler. Nasus tells me that they're going to be going for a little bit more dragon control in this game, because they had very lackluster dragon control in the first match.
Nasus kind of fallen into place with where Big Fat has been around this season. It'll allow him to be a tank. It allows him to be a nuisance in lane. Two of his top points that he wants to be able to do as a jungler. I want to be a nuisance, and he does so. Caitlyn being picked up for Wild Turtle. I think we all remember the pentakill that he brought out in his first game with TeamSoloMid. Yeah. So definitely a comfort pick there, as well as the Thresh for Xpecial. He himself is very modest and says, my Thresh could be better, but it is awesome.
Yeah, he's an amazing Thresh. He's made so many ridiculous plays on Thresh. I remember specifically the MLG games where he was just
flaying
keeping
Saint
Jarvan
Vicious
back the entire
every
game.
time.
It's a great pick there for TSM, and it specifically gives them a little bit more ability to initiate and kind of control where the fights are, which is something they didn't have in the last matchup against COG. And I also like the Caitlyn pick from Wild Turtle, only because COG hasn't picked their AD carry yet. And specifically Wild Turtle's Caitlyn can pretty much outlane anyone in a 2v2 matchup. And this is their best effort at least slowing Double It down, not knowing his pick.
Knowing that pick in just a few seconds, chat. The quick Lee Sin lock-in, and that's going to be a top, or no, jungle with,
Not sure, actually.
Is it? What?
So,
all right.
We've seen a couple things. There's going to be some trading here, and obviously the two options are Nasus jungle or Nasus top, with Lee Sin taking the other one.
Right.
And in the end, like, the Nasus top could work against Zac. You can build the Spirit Visage right at the start, and Zac won't necessarily be able to out-harass you, and you can farm up your Q massively fast. Or, if they decide to go with top lane Lee Sin, it is pretty much all-out aggression. I've seen Boy do it more than anyone. He'll go like Ravenous Hydra Bloodthirster or Ravenous Hydra Last Whisper and just try and take over the game. It's an incredibly aggressive, potent lane if pulled off properly, but if it doesn't,
you win that lane,
if
it becomes one of those I'm pulling my hair out lanes for the other guy.
And then it actually forces the team with the Lee Sin to transition early, which is, again, a bit of a change for COG, since the Lee Sin's not going to take a late game if he's going glass cannon.
That's something that we actually don't mention too much is, which way a lane is playing. If they are doing well and you need an AD carry that's going to be farming for a while and the lane breaks, it causes it's disjoint in the whole team.
Yeah, so they've been swapping back and forth here between the jungle and the top lane, and in the last second, it is top lane Nasus.
He's Ghost teleport, so he's got to take
top lane
that
Nasus.
Unless he can flash Q like Meteos.
And jungle Lee Sin, which is definitely different for Big Fat LP right here. He's been relying on the straightforward, let's go in and ult and click on a guy with Nocturne too. Now on Lee Sin, you got to pull off a lot of mechanical abilities to get the tank Lee Sin actually initiating properly. It's another thing that COG may have been working on here in those 2 weeks they've had to prepare for these playoffs.
Yep, at least Jarvan, Nocturne, a few of the champions that Odd One likes to run, but we're going to see what they have to do. Or not the Odd One, rather, coming in for Big Fat. So we'll have to see if he can still be a nuisance on that Lee Sin. That's what you do. It really, we'll have to see. Most have been playing for utility. Once you get the Sightstone, as you say, you can turn the jungle into your jungle gym. So
Lee Sin is a nuisance.
Oh, yeah.
When he's played well. He's just someone you don't get your hands on. There is a Thresh on the other side, and normally if you combo Lee Sin with the Thresh, it's absolutely insane. We got to see how this one goes.
All right, CLG versus TeamSoloMid. Game 2 now underway, and we are on to the Rift. Looking at a few different picks coming in for these teams, and definitely the different picks with Nian on Nasus and Big Fat coming in for Lee Sin in this game.
So will we see some aggressive early game moves here? There's no Zyra that has the huge threat of being walked into, but TSM does get spotted by multiple things there as they try to run into that brush. Doublelift knows exactly where TSM's going, and basically COG has to give ground. TSM's going to be able to go in and get whatever wards they want to put up in COG's jungle, but because they showed so obviously 5 people moving through, it allows Chouster, as you can see, to just go freely and ward up TSM's red jungle as well.
We do see that Counterlogic Gaming is going to be playing this one for the fight in the lanes. They're going for that flask consumable start. See if they can get the advantage there. TeamSoloMid now hovering towards the top side of the map, and it doesn't look like Counterlogic Gaming is looking to do too much with this, so they will be caught off.
Yeah, this is a nice, aggressive level 1 here by TSM, because normally when a team goes and invades a red and puts wards down, they either take that red or they pull back to their own jungle, not do a loop around the mid lane and then go for the other buff as well. They want absolute knowledge of where Big Fat LP is on Lee Sin right now, and that's what they're trying to shut down.
We'll see where these lanes go. It's going to be Nian going towards the top lane. They will send, it looks like, Dyrus towards the bottom lane. So we are going to get the swap up here for the AD carries and supports. We'll have a little bit more aggression at that 4.5 minute mark for these junglers, or maybe a little before, depending on what they can really get out of this jungle if we force any smites out.
Yeah, delayed invade here. At least trying to force the smite, and I think that's all they're going to get. Yeah.
It does go to Big Fat. Almost that Peacemaker taking it over. And so this is going to be good for the odd one now. He is going to be through this jungle and out, going straight over to that red buff now. But he is going to be warded over there, so they have the knowledge.
Yeah, this is an opportunity if TSM wants to go for it, and they're actually not going to, where the odd one could have counter-jungled Lee Sin and kind of flipped the tables on him, since TSM had the wards in his jungle and they had the smite advantage. But the odd one's actually happy just taking his own red buff, knowing that Lee Sin has no smite to steal his, and they're just going to take their regular jungle routes, despite all of the wards TSM put down early.
It looks like Big Fat also either got help from Nien or gave Nien a bit of that experience. Maybe one of them wasn't level 2 off of that blue because of the exchange, but that pulled Nien out of lane for a little bit. But he's going to sit there for 2 waves anyways, so he's fine with it. We finally see Big Fat get into his red, and it is already the odd one at Wraith, so he's a camp ahead already and looking to get soon.
Yeah, I really want to see how this Big Fat Lee Sin works out. Only because, think about the last game. It was Nocturne. Does he have his ultimate? Maybe he'll use it. Lee Sin's got to make things happen before then, or at least put pressure on the other jungler or threaten the lanes very frequently. But right now, because of all the wards that TSM was able to put in, because even COG is just a pretty passive team. They're not going to be able to save the early ward invades because COG kind of watches and reacts to a lot of teams rather than taking action on their own. It's already put him in a bit of an early hole, and I wonder how he's going to get out of that with his Lee Sin.
We're still even on farm. He's got early. He actually went back for very early boots to make that mobility count. He needs to get back and help these lanes out. We see the bottom lane going to back, and that's where his focus is right now. So no ganks are going to be coming from him anytime soon. It's all about what the lanes can do themselves.
Yeah, and TSM's actually looks like they're doing a lane swap at this point because they've sent Dyrus all the way down there. They weren't... I think what was happening here is they're trying to keep Nasus away from Dyrus because they don't want Nasus to have free farm in that top lane. Reggie with some nice aggression, though.
Reggie going on hard with that charm, stops him in his tracks. No red elixir there for the kill.
Yeah, but to get back to this lane swap situation that kind of just happened, Dyrus can't stop Nien from farming because Zack's damage comes out so slowly, and the natural lifesteal that Nasus has from his passive, plus the Crystalline Flask start, means that Nien gets to farm his Q however he wants. And Dyrus went all the way bottom, faked the lane swap, and just kind of came back. So that ended up being a lot of burn time for both solo laners.
Still 11-12 on that CS, but does it play in the same way? Can Nasus push Zack out of lane?
Yeah. I mean, Nasus can't push that guy.
Right, okay.
Nasus can't push anybody out of lane. Someone, especially when you're going top lane Nasus, someone who just wants to farm his Q. He can push the lane fairly well if he puts a lot of points in E, but he's not someone who fights unless you decide to fight him.
We'll have to see where that destruction comes from. Still nothing from Lee Sin, and to gank that top lane would be a little hard. They have no hard crowd control, as they would say. It'd just be Lee Sin and Nien trying to catch up the whole time. So we may not see the ganks there.
I think TSM could potentially gank Nien, especially with how pushed the lane is actually in that top lane right now. But it's just not. It's not in the cards. The odd one is on the bottom half of the map, and Nien is happily farming with it.
Pink ward already picked up by the odd one. We'll probably see that going down by Wraith or by Dragon. Yeah, Wraiths. It's a big Wraith. 5-6 minutes in here. It's going to be the flash in. They go in onto Xpecial. They miss the hook as well, and I'm pretty sure he's glad he missed that hook. They get out of this one safely.
Chouster used everything for that. He flashed in to get in range of Exhaust, and he had 1 point in his E power core to try and get the slow because they were really trying to brute force that Lee Sin gank through. But without that working, that puts Doublelift and Chouster in a very difficult place. No defensive summoners on Chouster, and Thresh ganks potentially coming.
Oh, Dyrus going back, trying to lane cut here and just kill the minions, which means they're just going to be soaked up by that turret unless Nien can pick them up before they go down. 7 minutes in, Reginald not looking for any more kills here in middle, really. Now that they're both level 6, that won't be as easy, but they are going to try to start focusing on where they can pull CLG to these objectives.
Yeah, the odd one was trying to use his Spiderlings to tank that, but he actually ran out of Spiderlings. And now TSM is just 4-man mobbing with a 5th on its way. Very early Dragon, but because of no summoner spells on Chouster and the damage they were able to get on Big Fat OP, it seems like COG is unable to contest that. Another great objective call by TSM.
Such a great rotation, and they did that with Big Fat bottom. He was helping them with 3 there, and there's still nothing they could do about it.
Yeah, already 1-0 up in the series. Getting that first Dragon is extremely pivotal. So far, the Big Fat OP Lee Sin is yet to make an impact, and it may be a fair bit about whether the hyper carries that COG has picked around that can actually reach their point.
We'll have to see what he decides to go. Still not picking up that Spirit Stone. He's got his boots, though. Looks like he's going straight for some HP. Get that Kindle Gem. Start building up to some items for the team.
I wonder if he's even going to go Spirit Stone. He goes Golem Spirit on everything. It would be strange for him not to. And he may have just picked up the Health Crystal for a little bit of extra, obviously, health, because he got hurt so much by a couple Wild Turtle auto attacks that he's going to need that if he wants to have any type of gank presence. And he's not necessarily worried about his jungling speed.
And just TSM has everything in the right spot right now. They have a ward at blue, knowing that second blue is being taken, so they can get the timer on that as well as move around the map safely. So little advantages they're keeping in their favor. Counter Logic Gaming is just trying to play the game right now. They need to do more. More than just laning phase.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of sitting back. They tried the one move that ended up costing them for trying it. So that might be why they're not necessarily doing that much. I mean, we look at their actual farming, and like usual, COG is farming very well. 69 farm on Doublelift, now 70, 13 ahead of Wild Turtle. That's extraordinary in a Vayne versus Caitlyn lane. If they could just do that all day, they would for that lane itself. But the rest of the map isn't telling the same exact story. We think about Nasus versus Zac, 51-60. Mid lane, Link is actually losing to Reginald, something Link rarely does in lane, is blues and minion kills. So the rest of TSM is doing quite a good job.
Still seeing if Big Fat can make an impact here. The ward goes down from Reggie, knowing that the blue was taken, so he's going to be warding that red side. And he gets a Big Fat coming right out of the jungle. So Big Fat's being thwarted, and without really focusing him, they're giving him a hard time.
Exactly. They focused him a little bit at the start.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes to put a jungler on a little bit of tilt, because he then has to make risky decisions with ganks. He has to try to force things. And you could see that was what happened with COG's first Flash Exhaust attempt when they went into the gank on X Special. But now they know X Special's Flash is down for a few more seconds because it's actually synced with Chouster's Flash. So if they went in again very quickly, maybe something would work.
And you can see now the Doublelift on Vayne, where the priority is coming from the jungle now. They want to start getting Doublelift fed in this game. The crescendo comes out. Big Fat from the backside, connects on the Q. There it is. Will they leave it for Doublelift? The shot goes. The second one comes out. And first blood comes in.
Here comes TSM.
Oddwood gets the cocoon. Wild Turtle throws it to Big Fat, but Chouster, he throws out the gloves and he gets the catch. Reginald was already on the move, though.
Came right back at him. Odd1 and Reginald were on the way the instant that gank started. And since it was a slowly developed brute force gank, it actually gave TSM the time to make it all the way down the lane. Kill going to Reggie and kill going to Doublelift are actually the two best people for kills to be going to on their respective teams.
This is definitely going to bolster the mentality of TeamSoloMid. The calls to come out from Reggie here, the team's feeling good. A needlessly large rod quickly picked up by Link. He is looking to go for that burst damage as we spoke about before. Our first turret also gets dropped in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Link is now going for a Deathfire Grasp as soon as humanly possible. He needs to be able to make his own individual plays on Ahri.
Back to the island in the top lane. Dyrus and Nien just back and forth. Like we said, these two not really killing each other. And both, or actually Nasus is running teleport, so we will see a little bit of an advantage there if they start to fight it out on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and Yen is actually at plus 114 already on his siphoning strike, so he's getting plus 117, blah, etc. 3 every time he gets that hit, 6 for cannons as well. So he's farming up pretty fast right now, far as Q goes. But the game itself, he's not going to be able to make an impact on it for quite some time. And TSM may actually be trying to take a little bit of advantage of his happy Q farming.
Yeah, they have to put consideration into this because CLG has told him you are fine to be in the top lane. 2, 3, 1. Oh, close the store. He thought he had it. There's going to be 3. He turns on the ghost. Back to the jukes. No, he tries to get it down. Throws on the ultimate, and the big dog looks like he's going to get away.
Just taking 3 people on and running away. Nien with a very exquisite escape, one would say, dodging almost all the skill shots and then just walking away on a big dog. Didn't even have boots.
Big Fat looking to hold this. Doublelift comes up from the bottom. Looks like they are going to be all right on that turret. Good rotation by both teams here, adapting to what's happening in the game and just the positioning of the majority of numbers. That 2,000 gold lead looking pretty good here for TeamSoloMid. The Dragon in their favor, something CLG allowed TSM to get, which they forcefully, in the last game rather, they forcefully took it this game and will probably try to do so continuously.
TSM has been making great objective calls in these 2 games. CLG is willing to be CLG and just kind of farm their waves, try to get double if farmed, wait necessarily, just hope they find the right team fight. And, you know, we've seen that book before, and we know how it ends. CLG hasn't been winning with that strategy for a very long time, yet they are continuing to do it here. So TSM would probably have the strategic edge in that sense. If they're still getting the Dragons and they're still the ones making the objective calls, the ball's in their court. And that's the way TSM likes it, and that's what TSM wins with.
Doublelift going back. Doesn't have just enough for that Bloodthirster yet, but he has skipped the boots so far as he is going for it. Already boots onto Caitlyn. Keep that safety. A little bit of damage coming out. We'll have to see if those two go at it again. Thresh coming mid lane to help as the Auburn picks up that blue buff. These guys are just all back and forth. No guard for the top lane. Dyrus trying to do what he can to keep that off, but this again, I was waiting for him. Like, are they really going to just go top? Not get that turret?
Apparently they are. Just going to go top. They decide to 2v1 13 minutes in, knowing full well the Dragon is going to be respawning.
There's another one.
And we don't say many things are free anymore, but that was as close as you can get it, because I feel like COG gave it to him there when they decided to send Doublelift in the top lane.
And the M may lose that top turret here as we see the mid turret going down, but that means the pressure can be greater from TSM. You see X Special trying to squeak his way in there and start dumping off for the team, but it did not happen. And this turret in the top lane still has not gone down with the focus they're putting on it.
No, not at all. And COG's trying to get the split push going on a little bit so they can get some of this back. Nasus can kill turrets very quickly with his Q. He's at 183 now. So, I mean, Yen is making good ground on that. But at what cost? 2 turrets, 2 dragons, and he had to back away because he's not dueling anyone with that farmed up Q and a Spectre's Cow.
We'll have to think about what the calls are right now. TeamSoloMid, as they appear on the map, is pretty much hovering towards that top side. Everybody's happy with going back, knowing they got the Dragon with Baron not up yet. The map is completely objective free in that sense. So TSM breathing a sigh of relief with a 3,000 gold lead, and really they can wait for CLG to start making mistakes here or try to do things. Even if it's not a mistake, they can just wait for it.
Yeah, right now, when TSM is winning by this pace against COG, where COG isn't making action and the few actions TSM is taking are working well, if they just keep making those kind of low-risk, medium-reward decisions, which is kind of what TSM is doing right now, it's going to force COG into a high-risk move, which will give TSM a great time to go and capitalize on something.
Farming is that right now.
Right now,
a lot of
this is
farming.
The low-risk, low-reward move right now, where they're just, let's do double golems.
Oh, connects to Q. Do it. Hit it. Nope.
Decided not to.
Didn't want to.
Nope.
Not at all. Odd one picking up some wards there. Putting a little bit of action into the game for us. Doublelift in the top lane. Looks like he's going to farm.
He's trying to. I mean, it's strange, too, that he's went for that Bloodthirster.
Yeah, that was
instead of Blade of the Ruined King.
Yeah.
Kobe even mentioned in the last game how they're almost going back to Season 2 or Season 1. And that's what Doublelift is doing with this build on Bloodthirster. Every vein goes Blade of the Ruined King now for dueling potential. And the reason he would go for Bloodthirster is a little bit stronger, hyper late game. We're clearly not there yet, but that's the way COG wants to go.
We'll see if he decides to go for his Zephyr build or what he puts in his hands next. He did finally get some boots on his feet. He's going to be able to keep up with Chaucer now on that speed. A little quicker. Still nothing between Dyrus and Yen. These guys rendezvous in the bottom lane and then back up. Link now is 136 to 145 on Reggie, but Reginald has finished that Blade of the Rune King. I haven't seen him doing too much but farming. It's like he's on a Karthus right now.
I'm wondering if those mid laners are just going to go kill each other, because Blade of the Ruined King with no defense versus Deathfire Grasp with no defense.
Who's quicker at the combo?
Who's going to combo each other out? I mean, they could absolutely go for this straight-up fight, or we're going to see them just shove and try and roam around and pull off assassinations, which I think is the more likely scenario.
TeamSoloMid looking to take out this top turret. Big Fat trying to even up the numbers here. It's 3v2 as they go in. Wild Turtle setting down some traps so they cannot initiate if they do take down the turret. Chowser again, there it is! Throws down the Flash Crescendo! Flash Crescendo better than Flash Exhaust. Can they get the kills? No, it's going to be Wild Turtle. Nobody else was doing damage to him. He's able to get out.
That was another force by COG. That's about the third time we've seen Big Fat OP on Lee Sin. He's honestly just trying to replicate Nocturne ganks with Lee Sin.
It looks like
he's coming through the lane and just using his flashes and Qs and ward jumps to just try and get in range. But he's a lot slower. Like, Lee Sin is not Nocturne. He is Lee Sin. And that's something that COG is not executing on. TSM turned that around.
You mentioned it in the beginning of this game, and that Thresh pick would have made that lane, would have made those two ganks actually come out on top. And that's a big pickup for TeamSoloMid to have that Thresh pick on their support, nullifying a few of these ganks from Big Fat now, as it turns out. 18 minutes into this one, it's 2-1. CLG still making attempts. They are trying to find it. We just said TSM can wait for that, and they were able to find that bit of a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. TSM is slowly putting damage on all of COG's turrets, and they're waiting for COG to then engage on them. That's exactly what happened in that top lane when we saw Big Fat OP try to brute force his way into TSM, and he's just not making it through Thresh at this point.
Can't do it, not going to happen. Wild Turtle looks like he has a good amount of lane to himself. They have the Tri-Brush warded, but I don't think he's going to get in any more dangerous of a position than this. Pink Ward going down in mid, Ward's going down in Tri-Brush. Everybody's trying to pick up some gold.
Everyone getting those wards down.
Getting them.
It gives you a minion kill credit, so it's a COG game. It's generally what they want to do. And Link really needs to start making something happen in this game because Doublelift is taking a bit of time. Nien is taking an even longer amount of time. Big Fat OP is having a bad game on Lee Sin. So it is really on Link right now to keep COG's season alive. He's just exploring. He's trying to make a play right now on Ahri because he knows he needs to. TSM is down, or TSM is up too far in this game for Link to just sit around and wait for it to happen.
Mid turrets down. Teams both waiting for this dragon to come back up, but that, I believe, is going to play in favor. I don't even know. I can't say right now because
TSM will take it for the most part.
Yeah.
We have Nien up in top lane, happily stacking, plus 300, by the way, at 19 minutes on that siphoning strike. He's getting there, but where is he going is the question, because if he gets there and TSM is up 10,000 gold with 15 dragons on them, it's not going to matter how powerful your siphoning strike is on Nasus. And again, TSM should be able to take this one.
Ward's over the wall. CLG even knowing that ward went to the Tri-Brush down the bottom because they have the pink. So they said, yeah, they're doing dragon again. And TSM even pinged onto red buff, where there's no wards, but they were like, they're doing red buff, guaranteed, let's take dragon. So they are just in the minds of counter logic gaming right now.
Nien is, look at how fast he kills this turret. One more Q.
Of course he sits on it with his health bar.
Of course. I guarantee he did a lot.
I guarantee you. He hit that with a stick.
Yeah, so his siphoning strike is actually doing, at this point, even just, we checked 300, it's already at 324. So maybe that's where he's going towards. He's going towards turret pushing. And COG is hoping, since TSM has only taken 3 turrets, they can get some of these back quickly with the power of Nien, because TSM has been dominating most facets of this game up until this point.
Well, he's going to be dominating with that Ghost, and Doublelift is definitely going to have a lot of, or Wild Turtle rather, is going to have a lot of appeal for him, because a Ghost Nasus with Wither in that queue, you're not really going to get anywhere.
It's a little powerful.
A little, just a tad.
And there's no cleanse on Wild Turtle either.
Which is the usual.
It used to be more common against Nasus before Wither got nerfed down.
The reductions.
Yeah, it doesn't slow his attack speed as much anymore. And COG is getting some of these turrets back, chaining their CCs on Dyrus, though. Let's see if they can get him.
There was one on the other. He gives himself a little bit room to get out here. One more shot.
Can he get out?
Slingshot. Oh, he hits him in mid-air.
Turtle's here.
Skeet shooting the blobs. Can he still get it? No, he can't. Wild Turtle comes in here with the attacks. It tries to be the aggressive.
Teleport.
And the teleport now coming in from Nasus. The Wither isn't in range. They don't have vision in the bush. The sneaky Turtle's in his shell, but they crack him right out
Dyrus
of it.
goes back in.
Dyrus goes in the slingshot from gathering blobs on himself. Still has the HP to engage. Doublelift pulled from the backside, goes down, but so does Dyrus. Or Nien, rather. Or yeah, Dyrus goes down. Everybody is just back and forth dying right now. Odd1 trying to crawl out of this one. Can he make it? The itsy-bitsy spider goes up, but he goes down.
An ace, Riv? After that? They had 1 kill in the first 21 minutes of the game. Let's take a look at this again. So Dyrus gets Blob as Turtle's coming in. And at this point, Chouster's just tanking as much as possible. But once Wild Turtle jumped in, it queued everything. Doublelift decided to go, and Yen decided to teleport in. And then Wild Turtle was effectively stalling and waiting for Dyrus to res so the rest of TSM could come down. But something we didn't see is up in the top, Ari and Lee Sin did a bunch of work so that when TSM did come into the fight, they were extremely low. See, Link killed Reginald. They had that fight that we were talking about beforehand. And then Yen was in range to just sit and queue again and again, and it was powerful enough to just give him 3 kills and power up. This game is suddenly extremely close.
Okay, but it was 28,000 to 32,000, now 34.5 to 33.5. Like you said, extremely close, but that's a window that CLG fought with the teleport, with their ghosts, with that huge Nasus to teleport in. It would have been a completely different story. They set that ward up in the middle of the lane, which they weren't able to get away from. So Counter Logic did this a bit last game, but if they let sneaky Barons happen, it's again going to go downhill for them.
Yeah, this time they got the ace though in a much different type of team fight. It was much more scattered and not necessarily as controlled, which I think makes replicating good things a little bit easier.
Oh, it looks like they're going to try to replicate another fight. A lot is down from the last engagement. Boom, taken down right there. A good kill coming up for Reginald. The solo laner getting fed on Zed. And it looks like, oh, Dyrus over the crescendo. They didn't dance him. They take down the dog, and they may continue.
Right back at him.
Wow.
TSM found that fight in the jungle, and Reginald won the fight against Link. We talked about them both going pretty offensive builds. Reginald did build a Hex Drinker, whereas Link, he wasn't having any of that, and he's the one who got bursted down by Reginald Zed.
Oh my gosh. 23 minutes in, the Spirit Vision's finished. Now a Frozen Heart finished. The Giant's Belt finished up for Nien. He is gigantic for CLG right now, and they should probably start initiating fights because he's going to be unkillable.
Yeah, he's got a 40% cooldown reduction with those 2 items, which means his Siphoning Strike is on a 2.4 second cooldown.
For how much?
Plus 360
okay,
is how much he's farmed it right now.
That doesn't hurt.
It hurts
a lot.
Moderate amount, I would say. It's strange because
makes you cringe.
For the first 20 to 25 minutes of the game is actually Nasus's time where he gets to farm it, which is what Nien has been able to do. He's got it around 350 right now. But for the next 20 minutes, you don't have the same farming opportunities. You get the off wave that you get to push, but if Nien puts too much time into still focusing this Q and going for 500 and 600 damage, I've never really seen a Nasus get it much higher than 600 realistically and still have a chance of winning the game. Because if he spends too much time off in the lane like that, TSM gets to find fights elsewhere, and they get to take over the game. Because the later you get, the more important your position on the map is.
Oh, there's a lot of tension for this blue right here. Looks like it got actually taken away there?
Yeah, I think Wild Turtle got that one. Because Big Fat was trying to pass it off and did not decide the Smite Secure was worth it. So Blue Buff Caitlyn is actually pretty potent.
We'll see what they continue to do. I'm seeing what kind of Big Fat wants to do with Lee Sin. We really haven't seen him come in any other lanes than in that bottom lane, trying to shut down Wild Turtle a few times with the Lee Sin ganks. And then he's been guarding. Now building up a Randuin's, able to get in a fight with Nasus. Triple slows trying to get in.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to catch a lot of people, and I think that Lee Sin's really just used for the utility the whole time.
It's going to be key. Yes, Big Fat had a lot of forced ganks, but if we look at his farm, it's actually somewhat respectable for a Lee Sin.
Yeah.
Most Lee Sins we see actually spend more time roaming around creating chaos and ganking than they do farming. But Big Fat OP has tried a few ganks. Like we said, he's playing it like Nocturne. Every couple minutes he'll go for a gank. But other than that, he's just farming, which is giving him a rather strong tank build, despite not being successful for the majority of the game.
Another unanswered dragon, possibly. That didn't even have a chance to breathe.
That's
7 to
4.
6. It is. Yeah.
That's many dragons to give
look
up.
how fast it was. It still says it's alive.
Yeah.
That was pretty
anymore.
fast. 40,000 to 38,000. Oh, slingshot's in! Double him, not in a great position, but they really don't decide to engage on that because of the side swipe that could have happened.
Yeah, that would have been a little dangerous. If they all chased after Double Lift, it would have given Yen access to the team and just be able to get in for some powerful Qs. Now that the teleport has been up on Yen, I'm a little surprised that COG's not using him as a split pusher right now, knowing that immediately TSM has to send someone for him because he takes down turrets so remarkably fast.
All he needs now is a Triforce.
Yeah, that'll be the day.
Bang, bang. Just getting a few laps out. These guys still having a fun time under all the pressure. Thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people watching. Everybody here in the crowd being awesome watching as well. And we're seeing what they can do. Oh, I guess
they're ready to cheer.
They are ready to cheer. With 27 minutes on the clock, it's still anybody's game. Crescendo! Oh my God, there is so much gap close there.
But how much did they use? Even Doublelift used his ultimate right there. So if X Special is back, maybe even if he's not, COG is a little bit vulnerable right now. Ari, Vayne, and Crescendo all down ultimates.
Top lane being pushed. Dyrus forced off to the side here. Their main initiation to go into this fight. They do have a lot of chaotic scatter, if you will. The Repel going up, a Reginald on Zed going in. It's a lot to focus on, which gives Dyrus time to go over, but they need this to happen now. That's their initiation. Yen's going to keep him in the mid lane.
It's a little of a slap fight going on between these guys. You can see Dyrus tried to harass him down, but the Q is giving him so much life steal. Dyrus has no chance, and now the Cavalry's arrived.
Oh, I thought the Condemn was coming in, but he just bounces out of that one. So they do get the ultimate out, which makes him more confident. Any engagement here in front of the turrets.
This game, because of the ace COG picked up in the bottom lane, got so interesting. Because COG sacrificed a remarkable amount with, Big Fat LP's non-existent Lee Sin ganks, all the time Nien was putting into split pushing, and even the Bloodthirster build by Doublelift not going Blade of the Ruined King, and all the dragons they gave up as a result of those mentioned things should have essentially gotten COG out of this game, but because they got the ace on TSM, it kind of gave them second life, and all the things they gave up may actually become worth it now that Nien is extremely powerful on Nasus with a small amount, 441 on his Siphoning Strike right now, and Doublelift still powering up top minions farm in the game.
And there's nothing going to really stop the Nasus. The hard crowd control only comes from Thresh. I mean, if you get Cocoon, that's the last one.
Thresh can do a surprising amount, though. Box plus the Flake,
if you get it paced right.
If X Special focuses on shutting down Yen, it could very well be worth it. Which is actually kind of exactly what COG wants, because that would give Doublelift a little bit of free reign. So what TSM will want to do in these fights is Reggie deals with Doublelift and X Special deals with Nien.
It's definitely going to be a different fight for them. We'll keep our eyes on X Special, where he can place the box and how much they can actually peel for Wild Turtle. Infinity Edge decided to go after the Zero, which we've been seeing a bit more for the last Whisper, with a little bit of crit and attack speed on it, instead of finishing that item into either the Static Shiv or the Phantom Dancer. Yeah,
I'd say Wild Turtle is progressing quite well with his build, and he's going for close to the same build he got where he got his pentakill on Caitlyn, just full offense all the time. And he did this in the last game too on Twitch. He went for the late game build because he knew that's where COG was going to want to take it.
Chowster getting caught on Sona, somehow getting out alive. The odd one almost having enough burst damage himself to take down Chowster. Repel could come in range. Big Fat could try to help here, but it may cause them to bait each other into a bad situation.
They're just stalling.
Chowster says no.
There's a push mid lane where Nasus is trying to get turrets, and Big Fat OP is just trying to waste time.
Big Fat does have that Ruby Sightstone. He misses it. The Safeguard Iron Will's down. He cannot jump to anything. But like you said, they had a bit of a push in mid there. It was a great trade-off.
Yeah, they got the second mid turret. 5 turrets to 3 right now. Big Fat LP did die, but now it's all a matter of what TSM gets in response to this. There's no smite for Big Fat LP, and he has been an amazing smiter this entire year. Will COG fight this? I think they go for it.
5 minutes earlier than the previous game's Baron right now. TeamSoloMid.
It's getting low.
CLG
has to go now.
They got to get in there. Chowster's not going to be smiting it. It's going to be the odd one pulling that up. Will they continue the fight? The Crescendo is on the back line.
Look at Nien.
Doublelift isn't even in this fight there. Why are they going for Nien right now?
He was so strong.
Link getting in there. Goes down. They finally are like, wait, let's just kill Doublelift. Nien somehow still alive. It takes more than 3 members to take him down.
And just like the last game, TSM goes for a Baron and gets it. Some indecision in going in for that one from COG, but no hesitation from TSM. The fight seemed a little skewed because Nien was such a monster, but as soon as he revealed himself, it was over.
Oh, Big Fat going crazy.
He had to go in.
Had to.
He landed the Q.
That's true. I told him the last time.
Yeah. Again!
Did it again! He got him! He followed the Q and he picks it up. A max range resonating strike.
Well, that's why you go in on the first one.
Oh, ace of the hole. That's not over the wall, but you do have some wards. Nope, no wards.
Can he get it?
What do you do? What?
He's got to see where he's coming from. So he can juke. Oh, no! So you can juke it.
He would have, juke the jump.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Might need a little more polish. He makes the big plays because he can do it. He landed some very nice Lee Sin cues, and then the escape.
I would have figured it would have been in the bush, so you deny vision on your way back out, but it's good.
I'd say like a 9 out of 10 for the kill.
Yeah.
Like a 3 for the escape.
One on the other. Yeah. 13 to 10 here as the action starts to pick up a little bit. Dragon again going in the hands of TeamSoloMid. They have the objectives completely in their name. 5 out of 5.
5 dragons, the Baron. The goal lead got a little bit excessive right there. Link doesn't necessarily have the Ahri burst that he needs to be the threat that he wants to be. Mien is actually where he wants to be at this point. 534 on his Q. Getting up to that point where Nasus's don't ever really seem to get because the game will end around them.
I'm still thinking about last fight when they just chased him around.
He was very strong. He almost killed Wild Turtle by himself in that fight. It was 2 Qs, and he basically took his entire health bar. Wild Turtle had to jump out of the fight. But that's all COG had. Link didn't have the damage threat, and Doublelift got bursted down so quickly by Reginald.
Yeah, Doublelift got hit, and that kind of waltzed out of the fight, and then everything happened in the Baron Den. It was like a party. Nobody invited him, and then when he came back, he went down. But now sitting with a Quicksilver Sash so he can hopefully get himself out of some sticky situations. TeamSoloMid with that Baron will use that advantage and aggress on the mid turrets.
Yeah, and once again, that was because Nasus was up trying to farm the other lane, gives TSM a window, and there's still the Baron buff sitting on some TSM people right now. COG knows how they lost the last game. It was initiating a fight on a Baron TSM that was slowly pushing their lanes. If they did that again, COG would not make it to World Championships.
Lasagnas is there now for Link for the Abyssal Scepter build, coming in for the odd one, helping out the damage or whatever is going to come in from Dyrus as well in this matchup. So very interesting there.
Yeah, and Dyrus is a monster right now, by the way. We haven't been talking about him much because he's been farming so much, but close to the best score on TSM, 3 kills, only 1 death, 4 assists. And when a Zac gets farmed, that's double his entire job right now, is just to clear Dyrus. Otherwise, Dyrus is going to wreck him. He's gotten so much tankiness as well that Dyrus has built in a couple magic penetration items as well. Zac has very high base damages. He's a threat all by himself, just for Doublelift, who's really needing to carry CLG.
Well, he has the Bloodthirster in hand, so he can fend for himself for some short time. That's not the Blade of the Rune King, which we would thought to see to scale up with the attack speed, helping out those W Silver Bolts. But we'll see if he can get himself in the right position. That is what he is known for. And they're right now looking to gain some 7,000 gold, but somehow have the aggression, somehow have TSM on the back
he missed it!
They completely missed Crescendo and the flash before that. Now TSM
is a 4v5.
Trying to get into this. They take Sona down. There's no more heals. Ken Nien, he's taking turret shots right now. More traps being put down in a small lane to walk in. And CLG trying to come out on top of this one. It's 2-1 in kills, 2-2 in kills. Reggie, Doublelift goes down instantly. They turn the kill around. He gets a double. They're going to turn this on in the end. Looking for the triple, but it goes to Dyrus.
That was a huge fight for TSM, Riv. All 5 members. Reginald wasn't there, so it wasn't a bad idea of COG to go in there, but it just got completely turned around. If you're going to flash Crescendo, you better hit somebody. Otherwise, it's going to get turned around, and you're going to get aced. That's a long death timers as well for COG. They may lose this inhibitor.
That's a second flash initiation that has cost them something. Cost aggression in the lane, now costing them a kill here. Let's see if they lose this inhibitor as well. Baron only up in 2 minutes, and TeamSoloMid is going to be more than ready to try that again as super minions are flooding the base of Chronologic Gaming.
Yeah, that just went from bad to worse. We knew the 4,000 or 5,000 gold disadvantage was bad for COG, but now a 10,000 gold lead for TSM may be insurmountable. We just check out the items in general. Actually, let's check out this fight once again. Chouster flashing in to maybe catch X Special and Odd One, but they just juked to the side. They completely saw it coming, and then Wild Turtle kept himself completely safe in this one from everything. Yen couldn't get to Turtle to really take him down, and even though he's a huge Nasus right now, how often is Yen actually queuing in that fight? He got the one, it killed an Elise, but he wasn't able to cycle it enough times to make an impact, especially with the beautiful play jump on Doublelift to delay him long enough for Reginald to arrive. And then since the 3 carries essentially were all the ones that were alive for TSM, it was over.
An amazing amount of aggression coming from both teams. You can't, put it to CLG for that. You can't feel that they did a little wrong, but they're trying to initiate. They know they're down. That would have been a huge play if they actually hit that and were able to capitalize on the crescendo. But TeamSoloMid is always one step ahead right now, and it is being the thorn in the side of Counterlogic Gaming.
TSM has reactively beaten CLG here so far this set, because CLG is typically the team that likes to react, and TSM's not letting them. TSM's making CLG make decisions, and CLG just hasn't been good at it. That's the credit to TSM, actually, for making that happen, because normally in this matchup, TSM just goes and goes and goes and allows CLG to play their game. But with all the preparation they've had for this matchup, I feel like TSM has kind of outgamed them in that sense, and they played very cautiously. You can see it throughout all of the builds they've been making as well. Wild Turtle always going for the late game builds, because they know it's going to get there if they're forcing CLG to make decisions. But they know that when CLG makes this decision, TSM will actually be ready for it.
What will they decide to do here? The inhibitor stands. They have to protect it. Double lift getting in. He was a little bit close to the front there. They got to be careful of their positioning. Chowster, flash is down. Crescendo is up. Exhaust is down. It just came back up. So they will have the ability to get at least double lift out of this fight, hopefully. A lot of poke onto the champions, but not the inhibitor yet.
Yeah, and because there's an inhibitor down as well, see the other lane is pushing extremely fast. TSM, if they get the right catch, is going to go. But as you can see, they're waiting for CLG to do something.
Oh, the odd one gets out in the Thresh Express. Will they decide to chase? Chowster's ulti is down. Would be a very scary decision. They choose to stay in base. They lost a turret in the top lane, and that wave needs to be hit.
And it was smart. Look at the minion waves just collapsing in around CLG. They got the turret, even though they weren't near that turret. It was all planned for TSM there.
More than once that has happened for them, with minions or a last shot coming from a teammate to take down a turret that was really just a distraction technique. Now again going for Baron. Like I said, TSM's probably going to go for that Baron when the minions start flooding the base.
And also Reginald is just making sure that CLG doesn't go around it by pushing down that bottom lane. So that second Baron, just absolute objective control from TSM over CLG here. And yeah, in the end, he's keeping that Siphon strike going. Just an update, 627. But like I said, I don't really see Nasus get it over 600, because by the time you get to that point, the game is ended around you, because you haven't been involved if you're farming.
Your team's like, thanks for playing.
Yeah, it's like, well, that was a fun mini game. Too bad we lost the real game.
Well, Nien has definitely kept himself and his participation up in this game. Still queuing out minion waves, still pushing that lane for his team. They know he's not a pivotal thing to be there in the fight. They can all escape themselves, and then he can get himself into a fight with a teleport, which is something they may have to utilize to win this.
Yeah, they're going to need to do something very creative to come back in this game against TSM. Having 2 essentially exposed inhibitors against a team that has pretty good dive potential for TSM as well, and also they have Darius' Zac to be able to dive the turrets really well later on. Not to mention the Baron buff on all 5 people. The thing is, if CLG could somehow miraculously hold off and keep this game 50 or 60 minutes in, maybe they'd actually have enough to turn around with Nasus and Vayne. So that's why they're trying these risky strategies. Maybe they want to come in behind TSM. Cannot say enough about how great that ward was.
Don't
special.
move.
Wow. Don't move.
Don't move.
No, they moved. Uh-oh.
Antsy
no,
pants.
TSM's got the inhibitor open. They
Of
can just
course
take it
they
now.
do. That was CLG needing to just make that happen. Reginald was going up.
Forcing CLG into the decisions is what's been working for TSM, and now
they are
CLG's
pinched.
around the side.
They're completely pinched. Which side do they go? There is no escape for Wild
Yen made it
Turtle.
in.
Both sides are damaged for him. He gets kicked into the fight, but it's all the way to the right. Vayne goes down. We lose Chowster as well, and it looks like CLG is on the back foot as they try to guard the base. 20-12 is the score at 40 minutes. It's going to be a 21-12 as Turtle 1v1s out on Big Fat LP. Link goes for the Zanyas, but it's only to look good in gold as Nien looks to be the only one standing for CLG in a valiant attempt to save the base.
And this seems like the time where TSM ends the game and knocks CLG out of contention for the World Championship. 2-0.
0-4, CLG, or 4-0 across the summer split. TSM said that score means nothing here at PAX, here at the playoffs.